Happy holidays, everybody. Live from our nation's capital, you're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte, your host and Chief White House Correspondent. I'm in touch, and so you be in touch. Follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nicordelai. That's DRNII. QUARTELAI. Pro tip, just type in Dr. Nee. Do yourself a favor. DRNII. And boom, bam, boom. There I am, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. And there we are for your listening pleasure. Also, be sure to subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. You know, the holiday season is a good time to catch up on all your good content. And then we hope that A More Perfect Union is chief among them. Go ahead and subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast powered by KBLA Talk 1580, the only Black-owned and operated talk station west of the Mississippi. And there you have it. You know, what else do you need to stay informed and hear some solid interviews and get some expert analysis and more? Finally, be sure to stock your stuffings. Stuff your stockings, rather. Stuff your stocking with my latest book, Kamala, the Motherland, and Me. If you are looking to take a literary journey, I'm calling it required reading for this inflection point in world history. Go ahead and check it out on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Mahogany Books, Marcus Bookstore. They've got copies there, and come take the journey along with me. Now, it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. This one's had me shaking my head all day long, but due process is due process. NBC News reporting that Daniel Penny has been found not guilty in the chokehold death of Jordan Neely. That's right. Daniel Penny was acquitted today of criminally negligent homicide in the chokehold death of Jordan Neely, a 30-year-old homeless man with a history of mental illness whose final moments on a New York City subway were captured by a bystander's video that set off weeks of protests and drew national attention. I remember this story very well. I was co-anchoring the Black Report for Fox Soul and Fox Television at the time. The decision on the fifth day of deliberations came after the jury deadlocked Friday on the more serious charge of manslaughter, leading the judge to dismiss it. Penny faced up to 4 years in prison. As the jury foreperson read the not guilty verdict, some observers in the courtroom applauded. Others began to audibly sob and yell, including Neely's father, Andre Zachary, who was escorted out. This is America. This is the sound of Black pain. That's what one person said outside the courtroom in Lower Manhattan in reaction to the verdict. Chants of no justice, no peace could be heard echoing from outside. The case divided people in New York and beyond, in some cases along political and racial lines. Neely was Black. Penny is white. Some people viewed Penny as callous and his actions as criminal on the day he encountered Neely, who had been shouting and acting erratically when he boarded a subway train in Manhattan on May 1st, 2023. Others contend Penny was selfless in his attempt to protect his fellow passengers. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg said he respected the jury's verdict. The jury deliberated for about an hour on the criminally negligent homicide charge after about 4 days spent considering that manslaughter charge. And so it's a tough one. It's a tough one. It's tough to wrap our brain around that someone who may have been experiencing a mental health event, their life was literally taken into the hands of a fellow passenger who choked him to death. And Mr. Neely is no longer here. And Mr. Penny has been rendered not guilty by a jury of his peers. I'm sure we'll be talking more about this in the days and weeks ahead. But on to Other news: Jay-Z accused in a lawsuit of raping a 13-year-old girl in 2000 with Sean Diddy Combs. NBC News also reporting on this one that Jay-Z, the star rapper and entrepreneur, whose real name we know is Sean Carter, was accused in a lawsuit Sunday of raping a 13-year-old girl in 2000, allegedly along with Sean Diddy Combs. The anonymous accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, said the assault happened after she was driven to an MTV Video Music Award after party. The federal lawsuit was originally filed in October in the Southern District of New York, listing Combs as a defendant. It was refiled on Sunday to include Carter. Texas-based attorney Tony Busby, who filed the suit, did not comment. Carter called the allegations idiotic in a lengthy statement Sunday evening and alleged that Busby was engaged in unprofessional behavior. Quotes, "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree?" That's what Carter said in a statement to NBC News. He went on to say these alleged victims would deserve real justice if there were the case, if that were the case. A spokesman for the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District declined to comment on whether the office is pursuing the case. But Busby has filed several lawsuits in recent months after, uh, um, in all of which have withheld their complainants' names, accusing Combs of assault and rape. This is the first suit in which they have named another high-profile defendant. And so we'll continue to track this story as more information becomes available. But one thing that a lot of people are tracking very closely is their paycheck. And in a number of states across the country, your paycheck might grow just a little bit as minimum wage is set to rise in 23 states next year as $15 an hour and beyond picks up steam. That's right. Minimum wage hikes traditionally have been aimed at helping low paid workers afford the basics such as food, medicine, and housing. But a growing number of states and localities are raising their pay floors to $15 an hour or above, providing workers a somewhat larger financial cushion so that they can not only pay for essentials with less of a struggle, but also make some discretionary purchases. USA Today reporting that 21 states and 48 cities and counties are set to raise the minimum wage on January 1st. This is welcome news for a lot of folks in places like Illinois and Delaware and Rhode Island, where they will reach a $15 pay base for the first time, joining 7 states already there or above it. 2 states, California, New Jersey, are set to push their pay floors further above $17 for some healthcare workers. And so, some welcome news, a little pay bump for so many of our fellow Americans. When we come forward, speaking of our fellow Americans, we've been tracking, some of the plans of the incoming Trump administration, particularly on the immigration front. I'm really delighted to welcome my guest for today, Shion Sani, who is a visionary leader and entrepreneur who's currently the co-founder and CEO of PayFi Incorporated. PayFi is a Canadian fintech company at the forefront of providing solutions that are critically in need. Just as immigration is becoming an increasingly hot button issue, this Black-owned tech startup plans to enter the U.S. market, helping new immigrants find secure housing and build their credit histories. I can't wait to tell you all about this, but before we come forward, I want you to take a listen to what President-elect Trump said just yesterday in an exclusive interview with NBC News' Kristen Wilker for Meet the Press.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
Want to win the holidays? Ulta Beauty has the hottest beauty gifts your family and friends actually want. I'm talking beauty gifts they'll be obsessed with, like wow-worthy exclusives from Tarte, Charlotte Tilbury, and Clinique that everyone will rave about, and luxurious fragrances from YSL, Valentino, and Ariana Grande. Of course, when in doubt, you can never go wrong with a gift card. Super thoughtful, yet super easy. Visit Ulta Beauty today to get all the best gifts for everyone on your list.
On behalf of her precious family, it is with profound sadness that KBLA Talk 1580 announces the passing of our beloved colleague, Robin Ayers, on Thursday, December 5th. Robin was a bright light. You could see her radiant smile through the radio. We all respected her immense talent, loved her jovial spirit, celebrated her love of family, and honored her faith in God. Our thoughts and prayers are with Robin's entire family, most especially her husband Rob and her twin daughters Brooklyn and Madison. We ask you to join us in praying for the Ayers family as they navigate the difficult days ahead. In her honor, all this week, we're broadcasting the best of the Rob Report on KBLA Talk 1580.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
Hey! You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte, and really delighted to welcome to the show for the first time, Shion Sani. Shion is a visionary leader and entrepreneur, currently co-founder and CEO of PayFi Incorporated. PayFi is a Canadian fintech company at the forefront of providing some much-needed solutions, particularly to folks who are and will be impacted by some of the pending changes to our immigration laws. We know after a very competitive campaign for president, President-elect Trump is proposing some pretty dramatic changes to our immigration system. And here to talk about that and more, I want to welcome co-founder of PayFi, Shion Sani. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Kwati. Thank you for having me here.
Well, thank you for being here. And so first things first, talk to us about what inspired you to create this organization that couldn't have come at a better time.
Great question. So I'm an immigrant myself in Canada, right? And one of the biggest problems that I've seen people face is housing, right? The criteria for getting a house requires that you have a credit score. Even though you're a newcomer, right? Credit scores are not something that are used globally, right? Only a few countries in the world use credit scores. So when you come into a country like Canada, right, and you're renting in a place like Toronto, landlords and realtors are asking you, do you have a credit score? You say no, then they ask you, are you willing to pay 6 months or 12 months upfront to secure housing, right? So I said to myself, look, this is a lot of money for any newcomer to pay, right? Because the unintended consequence of having to pay anyone 6 months, 12 months upfront from your settlement fund is it affects your financial liquidity. Now you are being forced to take jobs that you ordinarily would not have taken, right? Because you've paid someone 6 months of your money. Now you don't have enough time to settle down, look at your options professionally and see what courses, what professional certifications you can do, which will cost you money in this new country so that you can earn well, right? Now, no disrespect, I'm having to go to, say, Walmart, right? Picking up minimum wage jobs because I've taken a huge chunk of my liquidity and paid off to a landlord because I need to stay in a house, right? So I said to myself, this has cost a lot of people 48 months of their life because it takes you a longer time to settle financially in a new country. So I'm like, how can we fix this? Immigrants before me in Canada face this problem. I'm facing this problem as an immigrant. Immigrants after me will face this problem. We need to be able to solve this problem, right? Which was that's how PayFi got started in Canada.
And so talk to us about how does PayFi work? And so, if I log on and, set up a profile, how does it work? Walk me through end to end how PayFi really makes my life a whole lot easier if I am an immigrant and I'm looking for housing but don't have a credit score.
All right, great. So one of the greatest things about the product is that you can do this from your home country before you get into Canada, right? You can do this while you're living in your home country, from Nigeria, from Ghana, Cameroon, anywhere you're coming from Iran, right? As long as you're not on the blacklisted country list, right? When you get on the platform, you put your house, your criteria. You're a student, you come in on work permit, your legal details, right? Whatever legal document that allows you to stay in the country. You put your information. We do a quick screening away from the traditional credit history and use some points. And with that, we match you with landlords on our platform, right? And then we provide guarantee to those landlords that this new tenants that we're offering you have been properly screened, they're safe. We can assure you that they will not default on their rent. So you can get on our platform, register, do your tenant screening, and you get matched with the landlord ASAP. And then you can get a property, make your down payment your first and last month, as we do in Canada, before you even leave your home country.
Wow, and that's it. It's pretty simple.
It's pretty simple, really. This is something that up until now wasn't available because you had to first come into Canada, spend some time in a hotel, spend some time in Airbnb, look for realtors to help you get housing, get rejected because you don't have the credit score, right? So all of this, all the struggles that we went through was what shaped our experience to be able to build this out to solve problems.
So we know that right now, for example, there are a number of Americans who are fearful of the incoming administration, particularly where they stand on immigration. There are some families that have mixed immigration status that don't want to take the risk of potentially getting sucked into some sort of mass deportation effort that may be afoot when President-elect Trump takes office. And so for Americans that may be looking for housing in Canada, who may not have, 6 to 12 months to put up front, to secure housing, basically PayFi is an intervention intended to help people make that transition, no?
Absolutely. I like the spin you put on it, right? Yes. So for Americans looking to come into Canada, absolutely PayFi can help them because, as weird as it may sound, you cannot use your American credit scores in Canada or your Canadian credit scores in the US. You cannot use it, right? And then also to mention, we would be setting up shop in the US Q1 of 2025, especially in Southern California. They've got the largest base of international students in the US, right? So we'll be setting up shops there as well because the problem is global. It's not just in Canada alone, right? As long as you have newcomers, people on work permit, international students going to developed countries, they use credit scores for housing. This problem PayFi is solving exists there. So we are able to be operational, functional, and solve problems either in the US, in Canada, in Australia, in Japan, anywhere where international students and newcomers require credit scores to get housing. And not only that, right? Just because you don't have the credit scores, when you pay your rent on our platform, your rent payment gets reported to the credit bureau. So you can start using your rent to build credit as well, right? As funny as it may sound, building credit with a credit card is not something people from, say, West Africa, right, are used to, because it's not something we use, right? So if I come into Canada, or when I'm in the US, right, as a newcomer, and the bank hands me a credit card and they say, you know what, you should use a credit card to build credit. There are things that the bank doesn't tell me. The bank doesn't tell me there's minimum utilization. The bank doesn't tell me there's double-digit interest rate when I don't pay, right? All of those things puts me into trouble and can further jeopardize the credit scores that I'm trying to build, because I don't understand how to use a credit card, right? So we say, you know what? It makes sense that your largest expense, which is your rent payment, that single expense should carry the highest weight point on your credit score, right? Think about it, Dr. Okwati. If I owe $100 minimum down payment and I miss that on my credit card, my credit score gets impacted negatively. But if I pay my rent $1,000 from January to December, that's $12,000 gone. It doesn't show up anywhere on my credit score to say, you've been diligent at paying your rent. Why should $12,000 not count on my credit score, but a missed $100 payment should count? You see what I mean, right?
That's incredible. That's incredible. Wow. And so needed. I mean, it seems like you're solving for a few different issues. One, a very practical issue, the fact that most people do not have 6 to 12 months to pay up front just to secure new housing. We haven't talked about furnishing your place. We haven't talked about the cost of moving your stuff. We're just talking about securing housing. And the fact that you see this not as an issue in Canada, but you see this as a global issue.
Absolutely. It's a global issue.
You know, to the point where you all are going to be piloting here in the United States, I take it for the first time, in California.
Correct.
Where we have, you know, people from all over the world moving to California, including but not limited to students, you know, and people on work visas, you know, who don't have the liquidity, as you mentioned earlier, to afford to put down a down payment. And this isn't on a mini mansion. We're talking about just adequate housing.
Absolutely. Either you're renting a single room or just a 2-bed apartment or a 3-bed apartment or a bachelor studio, right? So just regular affordable housing. That's what we're talking about here.
I mean, I think this is incredible. It's incredible. And talk to us also about the fact that this also helps landlords out, right? Landlords who sometimes get bogged down in paperwork trying to make heads or tails on whether or not a potential tenant is a risk or not. You all act as a third party to assure landlords that, you know, folks are good.
So PayFi is a double-sided marketplace, right? How did we get to solving landlords' problem? When we started solving for immigrants' rights and then started matching them with landlords, we realized feedback from landlords was, look, if you're matching us with tenants and you're providing guarantee on their behalf, could you also look into giving us tools to manage these tenants' rights? From tenant screening to helping collect rent. Plus, we're also putting some form of accountability into tenant rental behavior, to the extent that landlords on PayFi can actually also include in the rent agreement, they can include an addendum to say, every time you pay me rent on PayFi, I can report your rent payment to the credit bureau. 1, to help you build credit. 2, also to make sure that you act in good faith as a tenant, right? Because we know there are instances of people we call professional tenants, right? Squatters, where because they understand the housing policies, they move into your house, they stop paying you, and they know that you cannot do anything until they're evicted. It could take months, and then you don't get your rent, right? You miss out. So because of that, we decided to protect landlords as well by putting some power into their hands and accountability into tenants. And by saying, now the landlord can also report your rent payment to the credit bureau to impact your credit score negatively if you act in bad faith, right? So we've given the landlords a tool to be able to match with tenants, screen tenants comfortably, generate lease management, and also help them get contractors to fix repairs on their house, all using PayFi.
we are about solutions here, and our guest today, Shion Sani, the co-founder and CEO of PayFi Incorporated, is a powerful demonstration of exactly that. More with Shion Sani and the work that is afoot with PayFi Incorporated. This is a game-changing fintech startup that you definitely want to know about, and we have more to share. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Tyreek Wynn with 4 things you should know from BIN News. A West Suburban Oak Park detective will be laid to rest this week after he was killed in the line of duty. Alan Reddins was shot and killed the day after Thanksgiving. A Supreme Court ruling will make it more difficult for people to sue the police. It stems from a case that was filed in North Texas. A group of George Floyd protesters have been trying to sue the city of Dallas for the way they handled the rallies back in 2020. The Marine veteran charged in the deadly New York City subway chokehold has been found not guilty. Daniel Penny was charged with manslaughter and negligent homicide. The biggest movies of the year are nominated for the Golden Globe for cinematic and box office achievement. Summer blockbusters Deadpool and Wolverine, Inside Out 2, and Twisters are all nominated. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
Need to hire? You need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Of the 12 schools selected for the NCAA Division I college football playoffs, only 2 have a black head coach. James Franklin at Penn State and Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. Franklin is in his 10th season at Penn State. The 52-year-old Franklin is the first black head coach in Division I to reach 100 career wins. In 2016, he was the first black head football coach to win the Big Ten Conference Championship. Penn State, 11-2 this season, has a first-round game against Southern Methodist on December 21st. The 38-year-old Freeman is in his 3rd year at Notre Dame. Notre Dame, 11-1 this season, plays Indiana in a first-round game on December 20th. The Black College Football National Championship will be decided this Saturday at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Jackson State takes on South Carolina State in the Celebration Bowl. Live coverage on ABC at 9 a.m. Pacific Time. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, your sports connection here at KBLA Talk 1580. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough every Saturday night at 7 for Out of Bounds, the show that brings some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We take you beyond the scores and press conferences. We give you our point of view, the way black folks see what's going down. You can join the conversation and give us your analysis at 1-800-920-1580. Out of Bounds every Saturday night at 7 on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You like the style, though.
Are you an entrepreneur looking to take your business to new heights? KBLA Talk 1580 is your partner in success. Every day, we celebrate and elevate Black-owned businesses across our community. Our KBLA SMB Marketplace currently features The Cookie Dip, Bad Ash Bakes, Hair Concoction, Higher Education Accreditation Consulting, LACC Radiology Technology Department, and Malik Books. Your business deserves to be heard. Let KBLA Talk 1580 amplify your voice and connect you with our powerful community of listeners. Email smb@kbla1580.com today. That's smb@kbla1580.com. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
So this new dose is, nope, that's not it. The price is nowhere to be found.
Mr. Green? Hi, it's all good. We've got this.
This is not just help from a Walgreens pharmacist.
Oh, new prescriptions. Cool. Let me check to see if these are the lowest cost options covered by your Medicare plan.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
This is someone supporting you every step of the way. Chat with a pharmacist today to find help saving. This is the human kind of help. Walgreens.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks VapoStick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks VapoStick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors. Use as directed. VapoStick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
You got a big mouth. Hello, Joe, you're up. Welcome.
We're unapologetically progressive, and we don't black down.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte, and really delighted to be in conversation with Shian Sani, who is the co-founder and CEO of PayFi Incorporated. And in case you didn't know, PayFi is a Canadian fintech company at the forefront of providing solutions to some pretty critical housing needs and credit needs, and doing so at just the right time, as there's a lot of anxiety in the air, particularly families that may have a mixed immigration status. Some Americans opting to move to Canada, at least for the next few years, if not the next 4 years. That may be easier said than done. I didn't know before this interview, for example, that our American credit scores, they don't apply in Canada. And so if you're trying to rent an apartment or purchase a property, you need a loan for that. It's kind of hard to do if you don't have a credit score. And certainly it's even harder to do if you don't have 6 to 12 months money up front in order to secure such housing. And so Shian Sani has created this startup to be a third party facilitator, really, between landlords and reporting to credit bureaus and consumers like so many of you. Did I get that right, Shian Sani? Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay, well, great. And so talk to us a little bit about why you decided to focus on this issue. You are a Black-owned tech startup. You yourself you're from Africa, and we know that immigration issues affect lots of people across many diasporas. And so what made you want to get into the immigration business in this way?
Again, great question, right? So for me, it's not getting into immigration. It's more of solving fundamental human rights, right? I believe there should be equal access to housing. One of the, think about it, right? The great immigrants in the US that have been able to build stuff for themselves, right? If you come into the US and you have no place to settle because you cannot get housing, it will take you a long, first you become homeless, you might get into different kind of vices, and you might end up in jail, right? Just because you cannot access housing. For me, I've always believed that one of the biggest problems that we need to solve in the Black community is being able to create access to wealth, right? Housing, people just say housing on the surface, but if you have access to housing, that's the first step in you being able to live an average life at least, right? And after that, that's from where you live, you're able to build community and get access to the right network, right? So for me, it's beyond just immigration. The end goal is to be able to create wealth for Black people. As I mentioned, some actions disenfranchise people of a particular demography, whether intentionally or otherwise, right? If I'm unable to get housing because I don't have a credit score, or you know what, let's even look at the scenario. If I've got a bad credit score, right, and I'm trying to rebuild my life, the system is such a way that because of my bad credit score, I don't get a second chance in life, right? Because banks would not give me another credit card to build my credit scores, right? Banks will not offer me financial services because I have a bad credit score. How do I build that bad credit score if you're not giving me a chance? What more way to do it if I have a roof over my head and I can show that I've been paying my rent and I can use that to repair my credit score? Now, you see, again, the chain reaction of just having a poor credit score because you've been through life, right? That's the actual problem I'm trying to solve, to say, look, if we as a country, if we as a civilization are going to use credit scores to determine who gets access to what, then it has to be done fairly, right? That's what actually drove me to doing this. So I saw an opportunity to say, you know what, with housing, we can help more people get access to financial products, financial services, just by using their rent payment to help them build credit, or just using other data points and jettisoning the archaic credit scores, which is unintentionally biased towards people of some certain demography. That's the underlying goal for me, right?
Oh, that's incredible. What a calling, what incredible human rights work that you're doing. This is it's gonna make a big difference in the lives of a lot of people. I mean, I see a lot of second chances that people may very well get because of your platform. And I can see exactly why you won the SoCal Black Tech Express, why you were featured in the SoCal Black Tech Express during LA Tech Week. Talk to us about your vision for making this platform more accessible. I know that you're coming to California in Q1 of next year, but where else are you looking to expand in the near future? And how can our leaders, learners, and listeners sort of, tap into your platform and utilize your platform as you continue to build?
Another great question. So we would be available in Q1, as you said. It would be a new website. At the moment, we're only available on payfi.ca. That's payfi.ca. But in the future, you'd be able to click on your country and then, say, for instance, you'd be able to get payfi.us and then the likes. In terms of where the services would be, everywhere where there's need to help Black people get access to financial services that can help us increase Black wealth, right? Whether in the UK, whether in Australia, whether in Japan, anywhere that we have the opportunity to use whatever metric that the civilization there is using to measure people who can get access to wealth, we want to go in there and solve the problems for people that are underserved mostly, right? But in the near future, we have US and then the UK and Australia on our radar over the next 3 to 5 years.
Are you all currently looking for any new investors?
Absolutely, we're actually doing our pre-seed round. We're currently raising some fund, and then we have interest in some US investors as well. Currently speaking to Fast Forward Ventures and a few other US VCs. I remember our conversation with Cornell University, by the way, from New York. They also have a fund, and then they were interested in taking the conversation further. But because we are not fully operational in the US market yet, that investment would have to wait until we come into the US market. But yes, we were actually looking for investment. We cannot achieve this off of just our efforts, right? We can only do so much without the required funding to allow us scale, which is a conversation for another day, right? My people always say where I'm from, they say, Owo laughing wow, that's Yoruba language, which means you use money to look for money, right? So if you don't have money, right, you actually cannot get more money. So it's a fallacy when people say you don't have money, money will come to you. No, money won't come to you. When you have money, more money will come to you.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. In our remaining minutes with you, I've got to ask if there's a success story that comes to mind of somebody in Canada, perhaps, who has utilized your platform and who has really reaped an enormous benefit in terms of growth in credit score and access to secure housing.
That's a good one. So I remember this particular customer because I actually spoke with the landlord. So a realtor introduced her to me and said, this is what your platform does. This person has a bad credit score, right? She's a single mom, just like I told you earlier, of people with poor credit score. She's got an 18-year-old daughter in the university. And then she's been out of job for a while, but she just got a job. She's trying to move into a house, but no landlord will rent to her because they say her credit score is bad. So I said, you know what, no problem. Let me speak to her. The realtor gave her my number. I called, and then she said, would you be able to help me? I said, yes, we would be able to help you. So we did our risk profiling on her, and then we were happy to provide insurance on her because one of the services we offer is we guarantee people, right? And then we say, you know what, if they stop paying their rent, our insurance will kick in and continue to pay the rent on their behalf till they're able to get back on their feet, right? So I said to her, I said, look, you passed all the metrics. Forget about the credit score. We would insure you. I'm going to reach out to the landlord. So the landlord reaches out to me and says, well, you guys are new. You guys are just starting. I don't know you. I'm like, no problem. You don't need to know us. Here's the insurance document. You sign it. The insurance will pay you if this tenant stops paying. And the landlord says, well, I mean, there's no risk, right? Because I mean, I have an insurance company who would pay me, right? So we have we're able to convince the landlord to stay on PayFi, and he was able to rent out to this particular customer. So yes, we have tons of success story, and other people who came in from Nigeria as well who were looking to get housing, but of course, the landlords don't want to rent out to them again because the newcomers, they are setting their ways of using credit scores, but we're able to help those kind of people and more. Yeah.
Well, our thanks to you for joining us today to talk a little bit about your platform. For people who are unfamiliar with it, we're talking about PayFi. PayFi. This is a game-changing platform, if I've ever heard it, a model that goes beyond traditional landlord-tenant relationships, creating a system that benefits both parties. Landlords gain a reliable way to assess tenants' risk, and tenants gain a chance to establish a financial foundation. Shian Sani, I hope you'll come back and join us again at the top of the new year as folks are starting anew. I think this platform that you're building is going to be a game changer. And so to all the investors in the U.S. That are listening to this, you may have to get in line if you don't act quickly as soon as they're able to operate here in the United States. Shian Sani, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Dr. Kwati. Hopefully Absolutely. When I come to LA, I'll see you guys.
I can't wait. I can't wait. You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte. The quiet part out loud when we come forward.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
Have you heard of the 50-30-20 rule? This can help you spend and save your money wisely. So how does it work? Distribute your dollars into 3 buckets. 50% towards needs, 30% towards your wants, and 20% goes to savings. Use this tool to help your journey to financial success. Sponsored by JP Morgan Chase & Company.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down.
get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
I don't even know where to start with health insurance. Do I just call a hospital and ask them?
Look up Covered California. That's their whole deal, making it easier to get and pay for health insurance.
Okay, but can I afford it?
Yes. They work with a bunch of health insurance companies. I pay something like $10 a month, and it's actually really good coverage.
Wait, what? How did I not know this?
You just needed to know who to ask.
If you've got questions, Covered California can help every step of the way. Enroll by December 31st. Covered California. This way to health insurance.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online.
Uh-huh.
I read that 3 out of 4 adults in the United States have a high risk factor for severe COVID-19. And Black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Whoa, it's you, the Capital One Bank guy.
That's what they call me.
Mind if I get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Say no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Wow, that's a keeper. So, where are you heading?
I'm off to spread the good news that Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One Bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Here's another great reason to use the United States Postal Service this season. When sending a package, why venture outside? Ship with USPS for a true holiday ride. Want to stay cozy and warm? There's no need to roam with free package pickup and labels printed from home. We have over 600,000 employees always in motion. And before you know it, your gift has delivered emotion. Spread the holiday joy this season with USPS's enhanced network. Learn more at USPS.com/holidayride.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? We didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We have a big announcement for you tomorrow, and that's all I'm saying today. Even as I'm donning my what some people say my Cliff Huxtable sweater today. This actually was my dad's old sweater, and I just decided to put it on today. And so for the people who are streaming, and in case you were wondering, yes, it looks kind of Cliff Huxtable but this was dad's old sweater. Anyway, big announcement that I can't wait to share with you all tomorrow. And so be sure to spread the word and stay tuned for that. But as for today, is it just me, or have you noticed a whole lot of food recalls lately? The number of food recalls has been rising. And based on some reporting by our friends over at NPR, here's what you need to know. It's been a year of high-profile food recalls, a deadly listeria outbreak, which led to a massive recall of Boar's Head deli meat. Y'all remember that? What about the contaminated onions on McDonald's Quarter Pounders and organic carrots that were linked to an E. coli outbreak? And in late November, federal authorities launched an investigation into cucumbers contaminated with salmonella. Now, even before the Boar's Head recall, a Gallup poll in July found that Americans' confidence in the government to ensure that safe U.S. food supply has sunk to a record low. While 57% express at least a fair amount of confidence in the government to keep food safe, 28% of Americans do not have much confidence and 14% have none at all. And so in case you're wondering, what are some tips that we can all employ to keep our food safe? There are a few different things that we can do, including just being watchful and being mindful of some of these public service announcements that come out related to these outbreaks. Not every recall signals an outbreak, by the way. That's important to know. Some are due to undeclared allergens like nuts or eggs, or a machine part like a piece of plastic getting into food at a processing facility. And a quote unquote outbreak, it means 2 or more people have been sickened by the same illness. And so, don't, have your anxiety shoot through the roof as soon as you hear about an outbreak, because an outbreak can mean different things. Typically, on average, fresh produce accounts for roughly half of all the number of outbreaks that we have in the U.S. That's what an associate professor of food science over at Purdue University has said. And now more than ever, it seems that consumers want to know where their food is from. You see, 10 years ago, it was a different thing. People weren't so wanting to have that information, but now people are oftentimes going looking for it. And so last but certainly not least, be sure to note that food recalls did fall sharply during the COVID-19 pandemic, but the numbers have been rising again. The FDA, which reports food and cosmetics recalls together, says that a little over 1,900 such products were recalled in the fiscal year that ended in September. That's the highest since 2019, when a little over 2,000 food and cosmetic products were recalled. And so let's all stay vigilant, be mindful, but, let's not freak out every time we hear about an outbreak, because, there are different triggers as to what constitutes for a food recall. So that is where we're going to leave that. But I want to remind everybody that we are remembering the life of our colleague Robin Ayers all week. Robin Ayers, who hosted the Raw Report right here on KBLA Talk 1580, as has been reported here and on a number of different outlets. We lost Robin late last week, but her spirit endures. And all this week, if you tune into the Raw Report, you get to listen to the very best of Robin Ayers. We were really looking forward to keeping her memory alive in that special way. And more details are forthcoming about a special tribute to Robin Ayers, who was a class act, radio talk show host and entertainment journalist. I'm going to miss Robin. The entire KBLA Talk 1580 family is going to miss Robin. And again, we are sending our prayers to her beloved husband, Rob, her twin daughters, Brooklyn and Madison. We are thinking about you and the entire Ayers family as we all do our best to get through this really, really difficult time, the shock to us all. That's where we're going to have to leave it. My thanks to The Village, helps us produce a more perfect union each and every day. Our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, our sound engineer, Miles Lowe, our show producer, Robert Battles, and our podcast publishing guru, Odell Bodie. Remember, don't panic, organize. Do what you can from where you are with what you have. I'm Dr. Nick Cordelai, and you've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.